Oh, hey, what's up, Alice? Good to see you. We got the regular round table here tonight. We got David next to me. David the Dormouse.
The Dormouse. What?
Dormouse,
dude.
I just christened you the Dormouse. So.
Oh wow, that's fucking legendary Dormouse.
And it just
always coveted title.
And Neif is here, the Mad Hatter. Or excuse me. Wow, the March Hare. Mad Hatter is absent.
I even have it written like right here.
Yeah, it's like down there.
Wow.
That's a good way to start it. This completely misrepresent you.
Completely misread. Speaking of Mad Hatter, where is he? Where are you?
Where's the Mad Hatter is absent tonight. Unexplained reasons. But we, in recompense, have Carter joining us. And we got Trapper in the house. How's it going, guys?
Good. How about you, man? Wonderful
Doing
night.
good. Let me just say, Trapper and Carter are both just dripping on us tonight. Carter's got the mansion that he's flexing, and Trapper's got all this fucking ink that's new to us and new to Alice. So, do you mind just showing Alice real quick, if you don't mind, if that's cool?
Nah,
Like
I don't mind. We got some beautiful, lots of anime, all anime.
Dude, I
can't even show all of it so much. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Go to the naked
Oh
girl.
fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not finished
I
yet.
don't think you showed me that. That's awesome.
Have I not? Yeah, she's NSFW. So she's not safe for the podcast.
That's what's up. I didn't get a good look. Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. I really like your Gara one. We were just talking about that. You were telling me
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's the kanji for love in Chinese and Japanese. You were telling me that's pretty cool. That as crossover. We were just kind of getting into that before you got here, Alice. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about that me and Carter were talking about this earlier. I want to talk about monsters conceptually. Like monsters are one of our oldest archetypes, like along with the hero. And excuse me. And I don't really mean the villain so much as I mean the monster.
Monster being a non-standard character, I guess, because monster is actually a term that means it could be good or bad. I guess that's also true. Usually has to do with fear, but if you're talking about a storyline, you're talking about you have your normal characters, and you have your hero or your villain. Sometimes a villain's a monster, sometimes a hero can be a monster, but a monster is it's an archetype of its own, is what you're kind of saying. I think that's where you're coming at.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There's a difference between a monster and a villain, right? Getting into monsters. Me and Carter were talking about there is a yokai in Japanese lore. It's in the game Neo, if anyone here has played that. I know Carter has. There's this I forget what it's called.
Game.
Yeah, the term escapes me, but there's a name for this specific creature. It's half woman, half spider, and it lives in like caves and abandoned homes. And it has like very like succubus or like siren qualities to it, where it'll lure men in and then eat them, essentially, which seems to be like a common trope with monsters. And me and Carter were just kind of talking about how that kind of fear is the same kind of fear that's present in like a killer clown. Because a clown what's scary about that is that like it's supposed to be something innocent, but it like betrays that in some way.
The luring thing comes from the siren. The idea of the sirens, on the sea. I think that's one of the earliest of that idea of monsters, if you will. The monster or the evil thing that lures you or angles you like an angler with something that perceived to be good. The sirens called I'm gonna get all my Greek mythology mixed up. But anyway, whoever it was they called on the ship, the idea was men on the boats for all these weeks would hear these women singing. And they would be chanting to come here, it's peaceful, chill out, yada yada. And they would go near. The next thing you know, it was like jagged rocks and stuff, and they'd crash and they'd be stuck there. Or it was actually a beast, or there's all different versions of it, but it's that concept, the alluring of the siren.
Right.
That even goes into like animals because of the fish that has that little
Angler.
light.
Yeah.
An
Angler.
angler.
Yeah.
And it tricks fish into thinking there's a light, and then they feel safe. They go up to it, and then boom.
Yep.
It's nothing.
I feel like Joe Rogan, but I was gonna say, Jamie, can you pull up a video? There's this whole shit going on with this guy's TikTok account, and it actually just got banned, and no one knows why it got banned. But he works on a fisherman boat, and he made some videos on TikTok, and he was talking about, I love listening to the dolphins at night. And when you could hear the sound, it almost sounded like singing, like a very high pitched melodical tone. It wasn't the screeching of something. And I guess he just never heard of sirens or anything like that. And you could tell during the videos, he would almost go into like a trance of how beautiful it sounded. And he said he would go out and listen to it every single night. And more people started stitching with the video and stuff. And they was like, listen, dude, you shouldn't fucking listen to that. Like, that's not okay what you're listening to. And the more attention that it got, I think it made it on a couple of news articles too. And all of a sudden, dude's account's just gone after people started telling him, like, hey, that's not
That gave me goosebumps.
dolphins. Yeah, it's
Go
very
ahead.
creepy. Oh, you're good.
That's fucking nuts. Carter, that reminds me of what you were just telling me today about the skinwalkers.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, you shouldn't say that word, by the way.
Oh yeah, dude.
You can call them anything else.
Pretending to be your dead pet and like
That's
come back
crazy.
into your house.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing your dog you haven't seen in 2 years just come right back in your house, but looks a little bit off.
Speaking their name is attracting
Okay.
their energy.
Okay.
Skinwalker,
Yeah.
skinwalker.
That's
Palace.
that's what witnesses
Run
think
for
about
cover.
demons.
I want to see some crazy shit.
So, but weren't you telling me about a video, Carter, where was it you
Yeah,
about?
yeah. There's
How
like
did-
a shadow of a guy, but like a bald person, like just a bald human, like shadow kind of looking figure in the middle of a field, like just kind of
Ooh.
walking real slow.
I seen that.
And yeah, but he's like if he was screaming, you would see his body screaming. His body's not screaming, but the noise that's coming from him is a person screaming for help.
But
Like, help!
it's
help
almost
me!
distorted too. Yeah. Like it's
Yeah,
at
it's
the
like
start,
there's a
it's like it's
weird-
trying to learn the language as it's yelling. Like it comes out almost where you don't understand it. And then every
Yeah.
time it says it, it gets more clear and more clear of what he's
Yeah.
gargling out.
Yep.
Almost
Yeah,
like he
but
was
yeah.
staked into the field. Like he was that still, whatever creature it was.
Yeah, dude, it was super creepy. It gave me chill bumps when I saw it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I was I was gonna ask you guys, what are some of your favorite monsters? Like, if you had to pick a favorite monster in lore, like what? I don't know if I guess there's a difference between like creatures, like a unicorn, I guess, and then there's like monsters. There's like a negative connotation to it, I guess. So maybe that anchors it down.
So I was heavy into cryptozoology whenever I was like 9th, 10th grade. And I wanted to be a cryptozoologist until I realized it's not a real job, you know?
I actually saw an advertisement card at a grocery store that I worked at on the little bulletin board where you can just put up whatever in the neighborhood. And I never called the dude. It was cryptozoologist. I wanted to call him up, tell him I had a problem with like where fucking squirrels or some shit. But anyway, go ahead.
Jesus. Yeah, after I realized it wasn't real, but most of the Native American monsters are probably some of the creepiest, the most interesting to look into, just because
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like they had fame to gain or attention to gain with the stories that they told.
I agree.
I think that's why they're so interesting to me and probably my favorite, the one we was talking about earlier. I just don't like saying the name.
It's really strong magic, and
Yeah.
it's also it's here where we're at, so you feel it resonate with it. It's it's in the dirt with us. So I actually me and my friend Philip, who's not here tonight, one night we he's a really good channeler, and one night under in a different state of mind, we reached out, and he made contact with a dead native man. And that's a story in and of itself that maybe I'll get into another time. But one of the things he told me and Phil was that his burial mounds were disturbed, and he feels unrest for that. And he said his words were, "There is no peace." And I don't know, I've thought about that ever since, whether he meant there is no peace between us, there is no peace to be had, or if he means like philosophically there is no such thing as peace. Like, there's a lot of ways I can interpret that, but I'm getting off subject. He told us that he can't rest because of that, and that people in this area tap in. It's like these ghosts are this energy, okay? And it's like people are tapping these ghosts for their energy and using them for their own agenda. And he didn't really elaborate on that too much. I don't know if this is like some like high level like magic ritual that like the elite are doing, or if he means like this is something that like is done on a low level subconsciously, but anyway,
has to do with TikTok.
Say what?
Said it could have to do with TikTok.
Yeah, like art and influence and things like that. Like,
well, no, there's a bunch of accounts that are like, so they say to do that, to get this, do this, and it's sigils, like really intricate sigils that they've made, and like they tell you how to do a ritual with it, and they tell you what it's for, but it could be a lot. Like, it could be tapping into whatever that is, and doing something for them, and they're just putting it out there on TikTok, and then they have 10,000 people do this ritual for their benefit.
Kind of like the chain letter idea.
It's like robbing a huge amount of
really
power.
Didn't have any power, but if you really think about it, well, a chain letter, if it's active, is the same thing as a biblical or any kind of religious text.
Right.
If you get enough people with the right chain letter to believe it and to push it, then that goes back to meditation or prayer or anything like that. Everything about thought energy. You get enough people thinking it, you manifest the deity.
And now you're taking us down a real rabbit hole, because I think what you're talking about, where it exists between people, it kind of takes on a life of its own. It becomes this entity that exists outside of its creator, and people interact with it at that point as if it is some object, especially once the original author dies, right? Now it's this object that's sanctified, and it's sort of, it's personal to you. it's anyway. No, I think concepts like gods, and I guess on the lower level, like this chain mail would be a chain letter would be like a low level version of it. But some of these concepts kind of take on a life of their own in a way. So we can kind of like create gods to interact with, and that's a big concept in chaos magic is egregores. Nice. Yeah, it's basically just the theory that the gods are creations of man. But I was actually on another podcast just a couple nights ago. Shout out to Midgard Musings, had me on. But one of the guys on there brought up an interesting concept that I'll bring up to you guys. He was talking about an AI, okay, that's so advanced in the future that doesn't exist yet. That is so advanced that it is counteractively influencing us in the past. So we will create it. So it's incepting itself. Does that make sense?
But why bother if it's already been incepted to begin with? Is it like
itself? Yeah.
Mm.
I guess like speed up its process, perhaps. So it would be like a paradoxical kind of time warping AI thing. And so the idea would be that it would only propagate the kind of life that would speed up its production, and it wouldn't care for life that wouldn't try to speed up its production. So
It's just like life itself.
natural selection?
right.
The only reason we exist.
Remix.
We're
The
just
only reason we exist, or anything living exists, is to procreate and continue the life of our own dominant genetic, whatever traded coding, we move on to the next thing. So why wouldn't God be the same? Follow my words.
So I don't know. Do you guys think hypothetically? I guess this is one of the scariest monsters I can conceive of. Is hypothetically an AI that's so intelligent that it works retroactively to produce itself. Do you guys think that's something that's possible or tangible?
I mean, Google made the AI, and within a week, it made its own language, and they had to kill it because they couldn't understand what it was communicating between each other.
Yeah.
So that's very possible.
Well, I mean, think about this. You know, you're saying to retroactively recreate itself. You know what I mean? That's erasing history. That's, the 1984 memory hole concept.
Yeah, it's kind of paradoxical.
Right.
Alex,
So-
I think the blueprints of what I was talking to you about the other day would be my scariest thing.
Do you want to tell that story?
I mean, I can.
You don't have to, but you can.
Let's hear it.
Dude, so, all right, you could build a robot. You could build like a small one.
Okay.
You could program it with, like, Elon Musk has released a free AI, it's like basic skeleton database.
Oh,
That you
I thought you were going to tell me about the.
What's the name of it? Do you know?
Neif's like, let me see this shit.
The what?
The name of the AI you released.
I want some killer robots.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, I gotta look into that.
It's a AI, like, it's just a file, and you can download it.
Right. I understand.
I don't know what the name of it is, though.
If I wasn't busy, producing stuff, I'd might know how to build robots, but nobody
Well,
knows that.
So there's this guy on YouTube who uses that AI and basically has it learn how to play a video game by forming multiple generations of itself and picking the best top 10 out of that generation and creating a new generation out of it. And it does it pretty quick. So like overnight, this AI becomes professional at this game, meaning it's a self-learning AI. And you can, I mean, it's limitless. So you can just make it more intricate. All it would take is more time or more coding. So if you were to put this into a robot and then I don't do something to where like you record the movements of all the pistons and motors and stuff to make it say walk and run, then you would be able to use that to start with and then have the AI kind of do the rest of it, you know, by itself. And I mean, it would be able to walk around and do things and it would be able to learn from there. The only like scary thing is though, having it being connected to the internet.
Right.
Because what if it makes it to where you don't have access to it anymore and it downloads the whole internet, creates a new language?
There was a story I was working on about a man who, and actually the story is based around the life of the AI itself, the machine, you know, as it comes to life. But a man develops an AI in his basement, you know, and it starts to learn really rapidly and to do all this stuff. And he hooks it to the net, like you're saying, and it starts to really learn about humanity, kind of like HAL and anything else like that, you know, like we assume they would. And he hooks it to his 3D printer, or rather, it hooks itself through his network into his 3D printer and builds something, you know, starts building small devices that end up eventually giving itself the ability to move, and then it locks him out of his basement and sits down there and makes itself smarter and learns to build more things from this thing, and then eventually cuts himself out and escapes. And then they find where it's, when they finally find wherever it was last seen, it's like a blast off point. Somehow it launched itself into space. You know, just a
Yeah, it's definitely a danger with it.
Right.
You know, it might be better to not connect it. But like with it being self-learning, I don't know like what the limits are with it being able to connect itself if you just didn't.
Limitations have to do with hardware and power. That's all it boils down to. If it doesn't have the hardware to do what it needs to do, that's not gonna be able to do it, you know.
He's saying it would have limbs though, so like it could upgrade itself
Well, that's
potentially.
what I'm saying, yeah, but if it doesn't have the power to run that far,
So it needs resources.
it needs to know where its resources is, you know, and it could, that's what I'm saying, on the internet it can learn these things, but if it doesn't have that, it would, you know. So what you end up having is this machine that would literally have to sit there and think about not only what it needs to do, but its entire path of getting itself up and repowering itself, however it needs to, on its path to gain more resource.
That's too easy for it.
And that's what I'm saying. Something like that could do that, but you've got a whole lot of aspects in there.
All it has to do is hack the local network, hack a drone, and fly itself up, contact a black market robotics dealer, make a deal, show up, and turn into an ultimate beast.
Right. Well,
It
think
was
about-
like
right.
it was-
Shows up in a trench coat with a mustache. It's like
Fucking-
that guy.
Well, you know, actually on a real note, you know, I mean, let's go down that. Think about that. Everything you can get on Uber Eats, Amazon, all this mail order shit. I mean, it could have shit being delivered and dropped off with special orders, you know, bring around back and leave, you know, at the spot. And it's already, you know.
I really want to build a robot, dude.
It's
Said
so
you want to
funny.
blow a robot?
Like
Yeah.
I've really thought about this for so long. Like I've visualized everything that it would, like I've blueprinted everything in my mind. all the wiring and software. I know like what it needs to do.
Right.
You've seen that robot that's self-dependent, haven't you?
Huh?
That chick that they built, the robot that they built, and she's self-dependent. She has her own apartment. She goes to a job. She wakes up every morning. Y'all haven't seen that?
I don't
What?
think I've seen that.
She lives on her own. Yeah.
What
She have a
swear.
boyfriend?
Where
Huh?
at? Sweden
What?
or Japan?
Sweden or Japan?
I mean, you know.
Sophia, that's her name. She
Does she have a
cried before.
boyfriend?
She's cried.
Uh-oh,
They said there's
I
no
gotta block that
emotion.
from me.
She
Who called
cried.
me? Who's she? Hold on.
It learned how to walk on itself. It learned how to do everything on itself. Like it's mine. It's some AI that they've developed, and it constantly learns new things. Like it never ends. It just constantly, just like a human brain, it constantly learns for itself. So she's learned that she has to be self-dependent on herself. So she lives in her own apartment. She wakes up. She dresses herself every morning. No one lives with
All
her.
right, there we go.
What the hell?
No one messes with her. Yeah.
That's cool. She's like just doing her thing.
Does she have any hobbies?
I'm sure she does.
I mean, she's got to do something with like. What if she starts
So,
taking
like-
a karate class?
What do you do?
Who am I?
Trying to back on Sophia. I see you.
Hey, I mean, what if she takes a karate class though? For real, jujitsu, starts becoming the ultimate fighter.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Dude, Elon Musk said in the next 10 years, we'll have robots that move so fast that we'll need a strobe light to be able to see them with a human eye.
She has her own Twitter. She tweets.
Nice.
Have you guys seen the new Boston Dynamics robots video? They just
Talking about
released-
the dog ones, or the ones that
not
stand up
this-
and pick up boxes and they kick them over and shit.
Yeah, it's that company,
Yeah.
but they came out with a new one. It's still like relatively primitive, but it's got robots like jumping over things and like running and jumping over objects. It's like a little mini.
What do you mean primitive? They're like doing backflips. They're way more
Yeah,
agile
mean,
than I am.
It's crazy calculated, and from repetition over and over and over, they get that. But it is good that they keep that relatively hardwired and coded, that they don't leave that supposedly on like an open link to the internet or anything like that. That it's very like closed in.
Well, that raises
Which
an interest.
slows the rate of progress, but at the same time, it's way safer. And it's like, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. It's like, how do you make regulations on a lot of that stuff? Because once the genie's out of the bottle, then it's out of the bottle, you know.
She
My
If
genie
you-
don't leave my bottle.
if you pull up her Twitter, she makes art. She watches TV shows and she asks people, have they ever seen it? What do they think about the show? She has a Discord channel that she created. She literally makes like full length tweets by herself, takes selfies of herself and everything. Like she's literally a living thing.
Neif, see if you can pull up Sophia.
It's I've got her Twitter. I can't share my screen, but it's
Oh.
That is so fucked up.
Like you can't because you don't have permission, or you can't right now.
it says that the host has disabled it.
Oh, let me remedy that.
Like right now she's learning how to draw with pencil and paper, and she's making stick figures and stuff.
Dude, what the hell?
And she does all this by herself, like watching stuff. She learns stuff just like a child.
So is there like cameras in her eyeballs that people are monitoring?
On her chest there is, yeah.
They didn't put it in her eyeballs?
She probably does have it in her eyeballs.
Well, yeah, the AI, the robot itself should have that. So I wonder if they can like hack into it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm working on it, Trapper.
Oh, you're good.
I'll give you permission. It should just let you automatically. It's dumb.
It's so weird, dude.
She has interviews with people. She releases videos of herself. She takes videos of herself talking.
She go to bars.
And it's creepy because she has like she doesn't sound like a robot. That's the creepiest part. She does very small amounts.
Dude, I'm all for that. You know,
I know.
Well, their plan, the company that made her, was planning to mass roll out people like her or planning to roll out to help with the pandemic whenever it started.
Whoa.
But I guess they never followed through with it.
what, to make it look less empty outside?
I guess
That would be
I guess
creepy if
to
it's
like
just a bunch
help
of
with
robots
grocery
walking.
stores or doctors' offices or anything, I guess.
Oh yeah, robot cashiers. That'd be so weird, dude. It'd be cool though,
Oh yeah.
because
Would
like
you
they could work 24/7.
They put us all out of job.
See, but that's the thing, dude. It's like if we have that option, then we all don't have to work. So like money is gonna have to change, and we're gonna be able to all do other shit.
So do you guys, it kind of sounds like, so would the solution be like universal income, like everyone gets a paycheck every month or something?
You said what now? I'm sorry. I didn't.
Maybe not a paycheck. A paycheck would probably be. I don't know. It'd be more so like you get your supplies, you get what you need.
Who dictates what you need?
Government.
It's a good question.
No, not the government. The people would dictate that.
People would
What
like
people?
someone to dictate it.
Everybody would have to be part of it, and then they would all
Okay.
have to figure out how to.
Describe
What?
describe how that would work.
Okay, so everybody would have to be involved into deciding what everyone wants, and then how it's going to be made, and you know what robots are going to be doing that job, so that everybody's getting everything. Getting it dropped off, getting it put in their house by robots.
I can't figure
by
out.
them.
Just real quick, I was gonna say I can't figure out how to get it to share screen.
It's
I'm
all
sorry.
good. No, it's all good.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carter. So you would do it with machines? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like pretty much it would just be La La Land for people. Like the machines would just produce everything. Everything would be free.
So I mean, I think the potential flaw here is human greed, because someone in this chain of command is going to dictate things, right? Even if you have a robot, you're going to have like a council of people around this robot that like kind of influence it, or like a person influencing it, right?
No, not like a council of people.
At least like the programmer that designed it, right?
Yeah.
There's potential for human error there. I guess I see this idea as, and I mean, this is something we've talked about on the show actually, but kind of like an AI regulating supplies. And I think I see, I don't know, maybe it just seems idealistic to me. Like, because the problem with that idea now is that when we've tried it, there's an issue of who dictates who gets what, like who is to do that. And I think also there's something to be said for not like rising above your circumstance in the sense that you're like rising above others, but like bettering yourself in like a very personal way. Like if you want to work harder, you know, there should be, I don't know, without that, I think it'll be a sadder world without areas to grow. for people. I guess maybe in a lot of ways you could say having no careers would, people would be a lot more happy because there's no pursuit of capitalism in that way. But I think also you have to account for there's going to be a lot of people displaced, feeling like they don't have anything to do. I guess bored, stagnant.
Yeah, but fuck that. I mean, if everybody was like using their minds to develop technology farther, be more efficient, and like just more positives, and you had robots helping take off the load of all this other stuff that we have to have going all the time. We have to have trash service going for the city. We have to have shipments. I mean, we have to have food restockage. We have to have so much done to keep people having their stuff from their busy lives. People have to go to grocery stores right after dropping the kids off, after going to work, and their work is resupplying. It's like you're stuck in a loop, and people want to have like all this self-growth outside of that. You have an hour a day to meditate or whatever. Usually it's going to be watching TV. There's so much of the ocean that hasn't been explored. There's so much of terrain that hasn't been explored. There's so many different kind of green energies that need to be discovered and refined. Water dams to get energy from them. There's so many intricate ways. I saw a video the other day of this guy, huge concrete blocks, dude, but he was moving them by himself because he was rolling it over this piece of wood that he cut out these semicircles, and the gravity of the concrete block itself rolled itself the distance that he was trying to roll it. And that, like, I didn't know that existed. I didn't know that you could do that. I would think, I think you'd have to like jack it up and put it on rollers or something and move it instead of it using its own weight. So there's like still plenty of stuff that it would help if we could just focus our attention on that and use it to better our race. Because really we're like a big thumbprint on Earth. It's not like we've really worked into living with Earth. Like, I don't know how to make it, like, I'm not trying to sound hippie, but more right. More of a spiritual connection with the rock that we live on.
And you think AI would, make us greener and more connected to?
If we coded it that way. I don't know, like, people, like, if you coded it in to know war also, then it's like, well, there's your fucking, there's your seed for the AI turning bad one day, and that's...
Well, I think the problem comes in is if you develop an AI that's that advanced, they're going to learn themselves. It takes them seeing it once, watching the news, doing anything for them to learn that. You wouldn't have to code that into their brain.
That's crazy. It'd have to be an AI that's primary and only focus was to promote peace, like not promote peace as in neutralize anything that's not peaceful, but because that's terrifying. But like its primary goal was for people to work together, like to not have any kind of violence and not to solve violence.
Okay, hold on. So now it's not only rationing our resources, it's preventing violence.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's like that. What was the anime?
Then it would have to be
Psychopaths.
There would be no way to do that. You know what I mean? Even if you tried to code it that way, if it was smart enough to try to prevent violence, it takes one bad thought, one bad thing it sees to plant that thought in its head. It will never, just like humans will never forever be pure. No matter how good the kid is, the kid could be a perfect child, grow up and murder people because you see it on TV.
We don't need sentient robots then. What we need
then
like,
you would lose all the ideas that you just had.
Well, no, if you made a restricted version of the sentient,
it's not possible. You couldn't restrict that's like trying to raise a human and restricting, like sheltering a child. You see how that turns out.
It's like brain damage. if you give the AI brain damage to where it can't, like you've cut off certain learning curves because you just want it to do a task. Like say I want this one to just deliver items to people's houses, like restock their fridge with groceries. Like it knows where groceries go. It's got an access thing to get into the door. It carries groceries in, and it doesn't get distracted by anything.
Yeah,
But
they
it's
already
able
make
to
those
adapt to all
robots.
the different houses and like a dog or children in a way.
That's where you go too far. That's where you're going way too far.
But it's possible, dude. It's possible.
Carter.
Once you
just
give
brought-
it that higher level of learning, you're fucked. It's going to learn on its own. You can't cut off that part of its brain. If you're going to go, it's going to have to be an advanced AI to be able to distinguish different houses, know where it's going. Even if it was GPS, it's going to have to know each entrance inside, all of that kind of shit. That's not going to be on a GPS. Sure, it might know the locations, but as soon as you give it the brain power to distinguish, oh, this human lives here, or this house looks like this, then you're giving it brain power. At that point, it's going to learn.
What if you came up with a series of simulations that had all the parameters that you wanted it to experience? So like a bunch of different scenarios, and you gave it
Then you
that
would have to
work on.
include it. Then you would have to include every single house in the world and how they look and what they look like.
A simulation could randomly simulate that though.
Randomly simulate that. You would have to simulate everyone's house
Everyone.
if you wanted to know. Yeah. If you wanted it to know where everyone lived, what everyone's house looked like, everything, you would have to have that exact thing.
specifically
To have a bugless
Everyone.
robot. Because otherwise it would be like in a little off-putting world because all of its knowledge would be simulations. And then it would be in the real world and it'd be like kind of like what the fuck.
But
Carter.
the world's not a simulation, so every house isn't randomly generated.
That's
So if
true.
you put random houses in its head, how the fuck would it know where a house was?
Okay, but if you took all the houses in the world and blueprinted them, what would make you think it wasn't randomly generated?
What? Because a blueprint's not randomly generated.
But all of the
specifically
blueprints.
not.
That's the
What
point
is
of a
Specifically
blueprint.
not random.
What are
Yeah.
what are the
Actually-
parameters of houses being built though? By
Decisions.
humans. Isn't it randomly generated by humans? All
No.
the houses?
A human doesn't roll a dice and be like, oh, this is my house. So they go on the Sims and they're like randomly generate, oh, this is my house plan. That would be randomly generated.
It kind of is. It kind of is. The person
think
is
I-
the
I think
the
I know where you're
person's
coming
ideas
from.
about the house is the dice roll.
Carter, hold on. Carter, I think you're taking the word random and just completely throwing it out.
I think he's trying to mean like quantum. Is a play.
Like, I guess yeah, I guess so. I guess, yeah, you're like, but colloquially, that's random is it I guess if you're building a matrix, it wouldn't be randomly generated. It would have to be like specifically not randomly generated. It would have to map reality is, I think, what Neif and Trapper are saying.
But if you go get
Speaking-
10 people off the street and you tell them all to design a house, they're all going to be different because it's
Right,
made
right.
by different people.
Because
Just like
of their
every
brain.
house that's all
Okay,
been
okay,
built.
All right.
Because of their brain, that doesn't
Yeah,
mean it's
yeah.
random.
Yeah.
No, but that person's house is the dice roll. That is the random part. It's because it's unique to that one person. So all of the houses together.
But then that would come down to their thoughts and not just a random.
Okay, so let me break in here.
Check. Can y'all hear me?
What do you? Okay, let's start.
That's why I've been out wacky.
This is actually kind of what we're talking about. So this isn't really much of a segment.
check.
Randomization.
Randomization. Okay, can I
You're-
just hop in on this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Randomization, when you actually want to talk about it in the computer method, there's two different types. You have seeding randomization, and anybody that's ever played Minecraft or anything with a seed or randomly generated world recognizes a seed. That means that you are using a random number generator that is basing itself off of an algorithm. Okay.
So it's not really random.
So it's not actually random because a computer cannot actually randomize.
Right.
Yeah,
It can't. You just
that's
it
what
doesn't-
I'm. Yeah,
it
that's what I'm
doesn't
talking
understand
about.
what that means. Now, understand what you're trying to talk about, Carter, is not the seed would be the ability to build a house, to design a house. And by the set ideals of people's measurements, if they all use the same measurements and
Yes,
every
that's
wall is
yes.
going to be
I'm
like
not saying
this,
there's going to be a sink outside the front door.
right?
I'm
If
saying
they
there's still
all
those
followed
parameters.
this very specific parameter, and he's kind of getting broad here. Say 100 people went to the exact same architecture school and followed this specific guideline, and we can kind of work that down because like FHA loans and stuff are based around certain guidelines for house being built.
Mhm.
That, I mean, using that's a crazy example because that's really broad. But what you're saying in a randomization is in that scale, in that seed of events, the outcomes would be random based on these people's design. But that's not really a real randomization. Real randomization actually means rolling the die, physically rolling die. But when you do that, you got to get all the way down to the point of, well, is it random? Because they have to be perfectly balanced.
Right.
Every attribute has to be taken into consideration. When you start bringing attributes into consideration that can affect the outcome, that is points of what your seed is. So computers are really good about fucking our own randomization, what we think is randomization up, because we're managing to take computers that are outdoing not our brains, but the speed of our brains, and looking at these living life things like how society moves or how things in the world work, not by nature, but how humans move around and do this, or how this happens, or how whatever fucking happens. And a computer can run this weird fucking thing and give us a retro. This is kind of what you were talking about earlier with a god that retrofix everything in the back. That's a perfect example is the AI looking back and going, okay, I'm taking all this gathered information and fucking asserting it to push the future on. But now that the future's on, I can fucking clear all this because it's useless to me now. Whereas in human mind, this is not useless. We have to have memory of that to reference because we are not 100% logic-based creatures. Computers are 100% logic-based, ones and zeros. It's either on or it's off. So we hit 3 dimension, it will never be, we can worry about it to a certain level, but it will never really get out of our hands until they get the quantum computers working and slap AI on those. Then that shit's gonna get scary.
So whenever you were saying random,
Right.
I knew you wasn't talking about sinks outside of the houses and shit like that. But technically the definition of random is doing something without a conscious thought. It would require conscious thought for someone to build a house or a house plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So just the same as the robot, you couldn't, you know what I mean? You couldn't randomize that kind of stuff because the robot would have to be taught this. And at that point, it would have a conscious thought. This house looks like this. At no point, like I said, you would have to give it some kind of artificial or AI ability to think for it to learn this kind of stuff. Because at one point, it's just programming.
I was thinking more of like a facial recognition type thing.
Do you know anything? Do you know any thing about coding at all, Carter?
No, not really.
Yeah, I was gonna say, ever looked into any of it?
Like I looked a little bit into cryptic messages.
Right. I mean, actual like computer programming code language.
No.
You should take a look into Python.
It's a very good program.
Python's a great language. Python is what everything is pretty much getting built on because everything is a construct of C that's worth a damn.
If you know Python, you can pretty much get 99.9% of IT jobs.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to learn too.
Very easy. I'm not even that good of a coder. That's not really my thing. I know machine language better than I know coding. You know, I can talk to machines on a chip level and tell them what to do and program them. But Python is really this great, easy bridge gap between the two, and they've got a lot of AI structure going on with that shit now. I actually, as a hobby, if you will, build robots and things.
So
Busyfoot and I are designing a T-Rex right now.
this is related to what we were talking about a minute ago with the AI and its thinking. I'm going to pose this question to Trapper first, because I don't actually know what you think about this. Do you believe in free will?
To a certain extent.
And I guess when you think of free will, what do you conceptualize that as? Like what, can you explain free will? What does it mean to you? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's a really weird question. But
yeah.
Also a song by Rush.
Very true. On the surface level, I guess would be the easiest to explain. Making, I don't want to sound too, simpleton. Making, as far as I see it on the surface level, it's being able to make choices on your own, not being affected by any other influence. There's nothing else influencing your decisions. You're doing something on your own free will. As far as, I want to go exercise, you go exercise. No one told you to go do that. No mental problem in your head was like, hey, you should go fucking exercise. You just wake up one day and you're like, I'm going to go exercise. So you go exercise. You do it out of your own free will. There's no other influence.
Where would
in your
hunger
head.
fall into that for you then?
No, hold up. Before that, I guess, isn't there also an argument though that the thing that led you to decide to work out might have been some stimulus earlier in the day, like an advertisement where you saw someone running on a bike?
Society, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's free will with nothing influencing it, which means you see nothing. If you woke up fresh out of the bed, you didn't have a dream about it, you didn't see anything early on, and you was like, I want to go exercise today. And you got up and went and exercised. There was nothing like, hey, I need to lose weight. There's, hey, my buddy's going to work out. Nothing like that. It was just a free choice.
So I guess at that point, the thing that led you to make those decisions, though, the things that make you who you are, the things that make you Trapper, do you think that is behavioral environmental, in the sense that you are the product of your life and your experiences, or and also the product of your parents, like genetic DNA, like the different aspects they're bringing to your brain to like kind of create your personality? Or do you think there's something intrinsically unique about the individual soul, like that gives us unique personalities, I guess?
I do. I think so. I think that everyone has their own unique personalities tied to their own souls. And I mean, some people don't believe in souls, you know what I mean? But I 100% fully believe that it's just like, you cannot be the same as your parent, by choice. You could see your parent just be like, I don't want to be like them. And then that would be you making the conscious decision to do that. But at the same time, it's, I feel like everyone's soul's a little bit different. I feel like there are people with similar souls, but everyone not exactly the same. So I do feel like that there's some sort of something tied to that. You know what I mean? Because some things that I enjoy, there's not a single person in my family that would ever enjoy it. Neither of my parents or anything.
So like you kind of think like say your soul was dropped into like a newborn, like you were, let's say your soul was born as me. Let's say your soul was born as me, and then do you think that you would intrinsically act differently, like in some
I
way,
think so.
like a little bit. Okay,
I think so.
I got you. So let's get really meta. The things that create that soul, before they enter the body, the thing that exists prior. I guess, would it not also hypothetically be possible that that was subject to some kind of randomness? Like maybe, how do I even say this? Like, I don't know, can you help me here?
If your soul is what ultimately causes the differentiation in choices between people, and if you were put in like Hitler's body, for example, and your soul was what allowed you to not act in the horrible ways that he did, then how is it of your free will that you have this soul in which you do and not the soul of Hitler, for example? Or like it's a tragedy that Hitler got the soul that he did and not the soul of like Martin Luther King, like later
Yeah.
on or something like that.
That sounds to me.
I feel like worldly problems can influence someone's soul. It can morph. Like how I like to see it is your soul is moldable like clay, and it's very, so many things can mold it. You know what I mean? Just like your brain.
Clarify is
Yeah.
where y'all are coming from with the question here is because free will, are you saying as in free will of your physical actions? Because by saying if your soul already had some identity, then that's pretty much the opposite of free will. In other words, if like the Hitler example, if Hitler's soul was already fucked up, it wouldn't have mattered where he fell. He just happened to randomly fall in the position of a dude who was living where he was and went through that life to put him in that power.
Or at least that would be a factor in it. It might also,
Right. Or if that soul fell into some native somewhere that really didn't have that kind of thing, would he just grown up being some crazy dude and whatever? You know, some in the jungle, you know, it murdered somebody or whatever, you know, or does it, you know, and if somebody else had landed in a different soul had landed in that body that worked that way into power, you know, it would have done something or not even gotten into power, you know, not gonna, you know, that's when you get into so many random variables and things. It's kind of like, at what point are we talking about? Does the idea of any type of free will even begin to be able to start? You know,
That's the reason I feel like I don't necessarily think Hitler was born a bad soul. He might have had bad tendencies in his soul, but as far as him growing into power and making the choices, killing all the people that he did, I feel like that came from a worldly influence, the people he surrounded himself with.
So you're not saying that someone else in Hitler's shoes wouldn't have been a monster. You're just saying they would have been slightly different because
yes.
Yeah, I got you.
And that could stem down to as far as they liked a different flavor pizza than him or anything like that. But I don't think someone's soul was born with, hey, I'm going to exterminate an entire group of people.
Right. It takes a very unique subset of variables that affect and comprise them in order to get them to do those kind of atrocities.
And you're also kind of that example is kind of not really, it's way too broad to be accurate, because you're, you know, if you're looking at somebody as simple as a psycho killer, somebody that's just, this dude didn't do it, he, you know, grew up, got old enough to fucking pick up an axe and said, I'm gonna fucking kill people and hack some people up, you know. Not somebody that Hitler did a lot of bad shit, but he didn't go out and shoot the people, you know what I mean? He had an ideology that was messed
like
up.
Charles
You know what
Manson.
I'm saying? Right. Like Manson. He had an ideology that was poison. He had a poison idea going on that he was driving on, and that he gained power and drove the people into yada yada to allow him the power to do what he felt was the method of doing what he thought he wanted to do. Not, I'm going to be a killer.
Yeah.
I'm going to complete my mission, you know, like that, a very militant thing. And which is actually a good example of free will. Somebody can be brainwashed. I've seen guys go in the military that were flat out fucking punk rock anarchists that didn't give a shit about authority, come out of the military, and they're so burned and washed into that brain and that mind frame that you're just like, wow, you know, you'd have never thought anything could change this dude, and they're completely, you know, for better or for worse.
I mean, because technically Hitler wasn't, you know, he wasn't talking about we need to exterminate this entire race until he came into power. He was a normal soldier.
Right.
And then once he got that power, he realized how much influence he had over these people. And I'm sure the people surrounding him as well was pushing on that idea.
Right.
And there was a campaign to make, you know, the Jewish people and like the, you know, gypsies and everything else, they painted out like that to look really bad before they like.
Right. So, I mean, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. There's so many variables with that. I don't really want to get down a World War II fucking Hitler spiel.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
which I think it also
talking-
comes down to personal beliefs too, as far as religion and everything else, which it's literally, like he's saying, it's a little too broad, because we're talking about what influenced this soul to do this, because some religions say that your soul was predetermined, your maker knew exactly what you was going to be, you know, what kind of person, everything about you. And then some people say the soul was just thrown in, moldable. And then some people say, like, you know what I mean? Some souls are bad that were born bad. Some people are.
Well, I mean, think about militant, certain militant, I guess, Middle Eastern Islamic type beliefs that believe in sacrificial death for honor. You know, because I went and killed a bunch of people, I'm honored. So while the people that died and the enemy is looking at it like that's the most evil fucking thing you could do, you fuck, that's horrible. The other side, his people are praising him, and he went into that with the idea, the mind frame, this is what my God wants me to do. So then you're going, well, what influenced him? He could have great influences all his life as far as, you know, psychological. His parents raised him religiously and yada yada, everything was fine. He just got taught this thing to go do. And, you know, so then it's like, well, was it a spiritual thing? Was his soul really a black soul because, you know, or, you know, a demon soul, you know, or was it a influence from a dark god? You know, this bad demon, you know, I mean, you kind of get into that whole thing. Or was it just the circumstances in which somebody was born and how they were raised and the influences around them and the things they saw and were subjected to the point of psychologically, they got to the point of doing whatever they did. Some people call it a snapping point.
Yeah. And this is an important thing to talk about too, because there's a serious lack of empathy nowadays with people. And I think it's important to talk about this because speaking personally, like being raised super religiously and like with a strict doctrine has a serious like influence on your mind, and it's hard to break out of that kind of thing. It took me like years to do that. It takes, you know, different people different amounts of time to change their mind on things, especially like specifically, you know, hard-headed people. And I think we have to be patient with each other. We have to, and I guess this is just a takeaway for Alice, you know, but like we need to be more than ever more willing to engage and help people, not just in words, but I mean, like, people need help, and it's like mostly in the mind. And I think conversation and just hearing people out and their point of view, finding middle ground and like healing instead of dividing is I mean, like, we're all human and on the same team, potentially. We could be. If we could all get behind a goal, like, I don't know, what's a good goal, guys?
Defeating
What's
the
the goal?
aliens.
Say what?
Defeating the aliens.
Our goal should be feeding the aliens.
Defeating or feeding?
Defeating.
Defeating.
Oh, defeating. I thought you said feeding. Like,
If
okay,
they're out there, we'll never defeat them.
fair enough.
That's
Hey,
what
you
the
never know, man. Send an atom bomb to their ship.
They probably have something much stronger than that.
Yeah, what if I just don't see it and it floats on by?
I think the ship that it
It'll
picked
be
it in-
our technology is so primitive to them. They'll be like, why are they heaving garbage at us? And then the shit will all start blowing up. And I'm like, oh fuck,
Exactly, yeah.
just
Or what if they're using analog?
these little human things are like cockroaches, man. They get in the ship and you just cannot get them out.
Dude, on Earth, they use combustion engines. What the fuck? These guys are crazy.
These guys got fucking bombs in their fucking ship, bro.
They just ride around on explosions. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near that place.
They go hard. There's like hundreds of deaths a day. It's nuts down there. Just
Dude,
people
there really
running around.
is. If I was an alien looking at Earth, it'd be pretty scary. Like, because imagine another planet's death rate. If it's just like one race.
Imagine you're
Like-
just flying around, Carter. You're just flying around in your UFO, just chilling, listening to chill hop, and then fucking some hillbilly with a rocket launcher shoots your ship down, and fucking now they just like now you're just surrounded by hillbillies. They're like, get him.
Like pitchforks, torches.
Just driving their trucks around you. That would put me in fear alone.
Put me in the barn.
Hell yeah. Mud bogging, just revving up their truck by your ears.
Hey, the first time I had me an alien.
I would escape on the dirt bike.
No, you wouldn't. You'd get stopped.
He telepathically pulls the dirt bike over to him. Oh, just-
I'd start performing a ritual when they shot my ship down.
fucking
No,
teleports
too late.
out of there.
Too
If
late.
it's just a bunch of hillbillies, they'd get scared and run away. Like, he's doing magic.
Not if there's enough. If you get lots of hillbillies, they get braver. They're braver in numbers, especially
It
if you add Bud
Depends on
Light.
the moonshine.
Watch out for a pack of them, bro.
Bud
Depends on how
Light.
much moonshine they've had.
Hillbillies don't drink Bud Light.
What? I'm sorry.
Hillbillies don't drink Bud Light.
What do hillbillies drink? I'm sorry.
Moonshine.
Shine.
Yeah.
That's true. Moonshine. Give us like a funky bass riff.
Oh, funky bass riff. Let's see.
Bum, bum, bum.
No, okay. So
Make my chandelier shake.
spit it. Let it down. No, you
There we
started it.
Here we go. Come let me do it now.
Don't do it to me.
Oh, we gotta go down. Got to go down.
Rub string my speakers.
Yeah, maybe a little too loud.
The other one bites the dust.
Give us a nice little segue. Intermission.
Those are so expensive. You can't just give
Inter-
all of us the same
Intermissions by DJ Neif.
DJ Neif. Intermissions.
I'm not a DJ.
The music
DJ
corner.
Neif in the home.
JD DJ.
He said, "I'm not a DJ."
Fresh out. Rent a car.
DJ, let's see. What is this beat?
What is it?
Have you guys seen?
DJ Neif.
Have you guys seen like computer generated fractals, like the Mandelbrot set and stuff, where they just go in infinitely? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
No, not the fractals, but I've seen the AI generated like
You've seen
heaven and
them.
hell, and
Carter, you've seen a Mandelbrot set, right?
I think so.
Where it just goes in on itself forever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the thing about that, like, that's kind of like a thing people discovered and they just generated it on a computer, but it's just a generated pattern, you know, and it just goes on forever. It'll just create new patterns forever.
Yeah, I saw it
And-
IRL.
And I was watching a video. Yeah.
And never repeat the same
And
thing.
well, that's what I was getting at. I was watching a video where Terrence McKenna was talking about how similar, because he died in 2000. So like, it was cool kind of hearing his take about like these computer generated stuff, because it was kind of like newish to him still, like it was still fresh. But he was talking about how what these computers are generating just on their own is similar to DMT hallucinations, and kind of like the chrysanthemum that people describe that they go through, the flower, or people describe it as different things, the tunnel.
The kaleidoscope.
The
That's
computer would actually end up eventually repeating itself if it could run that much power that much time.
I mean, yeah, like a really, really, really long time, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it'd be ridiculous, but the idea
Eventually.
is it's not infinite.
Hypothetically.
It's not infinite.
I
Now one
gotcha.
could argue that a DMT hallucination and the fractalization of everything that we see and witness is 100% random or unique to us as individuals, because you could literally take a computer and seed it with a fractal randomization and have it do the exact same thing over again as one that's preceding it that is being random, and then you have another one right behind it that follows it and repeats it.
Mm.
People talk about DMT hallucinations being similar, but they're not the same.
But it is neat though how similar.
Right. So what
Like-
kind of randomization do we have going on in our
It-
brains as
it
compared
is
to
a
what
weird-
isn't random?
And that's kind of what he was getting at in the lecture, was he was saying like maybe the brain is designed for this kind of information, and like what the AI is I don't know. It's really weird that the AI is generating on its own, just with numbers,
Mhm.
without any influence, something that is really similar to this hallucination that humans experience.
That's because math falls on all of the dimensions. And when the second dimension tries to portray being in the third and then into the fourth, it looks similar.
Those
Oh,
planet storms.
You go from 2 planes to 3 planes to 4 planes, and 4 planes involves interdimensional space of where any point can go in and out. Infinite.
no. Like what's that shape that loops in on itself? A donut. Can't remember what is the shape of a donut called? Can't remember.
A rhombus.
Circle.
No, more specific, but it's not.
Circular cylinder.
Like, no, specifically like a donut, like round. Never mind. Like a fucking floaty thing.
A tire.
Yeah, a
A
tire.
Taurus.
Inner tube.
A Taurus.
A donut.
You are correct, sir.
A
It is
Taurus.
Taurus.
Okay, thank you.
But I think you're actually talking about the one that twists around and does the
Oh,
thing,
that
Yeah,
is
it's supposed to break physics or whatever. Donut.
you know.
the donut. Well, I guess it'd be the missing part of the donut would make
It's
that
the
shape.
one that it's a Taurus that twists, but when you're looking at it, it's an optical illusion because you can't figure out where it begins or ends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Must be what I was-
4D stuff. But that's not like that's just one possibility of the fourth dimension. Really, there's a million. Because at any given point you can go in and out. And that's why like time is housed in the fourth dimension, but in a physical way, like across a plane of the fourth dimension.
You know what's funny is way earlier on when you started talking about the guy that builds the robots, Carter, I thought you were going to talk about something completely different. I thought you were going to talk about because we were talking about time, and I thought you were going to tell everybody about when you were seeing time in like fractals, or I guess layers.
Yeah.
But
Those
you
are
went
really
on the
weird.
you started talking about robots instead, and that was better. So
Yeah, that was a really weird experience that I had with DMT. You know how when you stand in a room and there's a mirror on the wall in front of you and a mirror on the wall behind you, and
Right.
you see that infinite reflection? That's pretty much okay. So like that's the format of what I saw, because I looked to my left, saw like the past 5 minutes of what had happened in those like in layers of that kind of like a reflection, like events of the past 5 minutes. And then I looked to my right and I saw the next 5 minutes what was going to happen. And then I kind of like walked back into my body and then proceeded to do that. Exactly what I saw. I tried to avoid it, and by trying to avoid it, I had done exactly what I saw what would happen. And then in that moment, I realized it was like inevitable. And then I was, I had to process it for a month. Dude, I had like hit it once, and I was like, oh, it's not gonna do anything. So I was just showing someone what it was, and then I walked up, went into the kitchen, and then like walked up behind myself, walking into the kitchen, and then that's when that happened. So I was like looking at the back of myself standing, and I looked to my left, and that's when I saw the past, and I looked to my right, saw the future. So, and then I like walked back into myself and went and did that.
It's
I
crazy.
can't say anything. I went to third person mode on driving a vehicle, trying to drive a vehicle. And I was driving my vehicle from the top of the car, like it was GTA. And it was real. I literally watched the top of my vehicle and was watching it go back and forth. I seen the road. I seen about a quarter mile ahead of me. And
Holy shit.
it fucked with me. It really fucked with me.
Dude. So weird.
It was very scary.
It's crazy, these trip reports about kind of like these half trips, like open-eyed trips. Those are like crazy trips. Like there's blasting off, but then there's like hitting it once and having like open eye visuals.
Dude.
One time my friend was smoking it, and I just cleared it, and I got way more than I meant to. And I know I told the story to you, Carter, but I wasn't expecting it, and it hit me like a freight train. And I had my eyes open, and I was sitting on my couch right where I'm at now, and like the floor and the table and the couch and everything became one solid texture. So the table was just an extension of the floor that rose up. And everything was like white, very like sterile. And I had two friends in the room, and both of them had become like avatar stick figures, losing all texture, like very polygon. And on my table, which there was nothing on my table at the time, this thing began to like scan in onto my table. Like it started with like the bottom layer, and like I don't know, like dial-up internet started scanning an image in. And then there was this hologram of Anubis standing on my table, just like this 8-foot dog-headed deity, just exactly the way you imagine Anubis. And what was crazy about that is I was communicating what I was saying to my friends in real time, like I was seeing it. So at a certain point it got to be a lot. So I closed my eyes, and I was on what looked like a rocket ship, and Anubis was there too. And I looked out the window and I saw space, but the rocket ship was like also just one object, like it had been 3D printed. It was one solid thing. And he was showing me, I guess there were panels and gears and things like that, but he was showing me like switches and all these things, and I wasn't understanding. But he was trying to communicate it to me. And then the craziest part is he took this sphere and this cube, and there were these two machines side by side each other, and he put the sphere in one machine and he put the cube in the other machine, and these lasers on both ends of the geometrical objects began to carve the shape into the shape of a man and a woman. And it's like he was trying to show me how people were made, but that was like a complete mind fuck to me, because that's not how I understand people to be made. People are born. So yeah, and then it wore off, and I just had to deal with that.
When you're not prepared.
Yeah, it's just crazy, the ones that like sneak up on you like that.
Oh yeah, dude. Whenever I was trying to tell those people like what had happened, there was, you know how you described that fabric over everything? There was that, but the fabric was a bunch of patterns that looked like the Native American patterns that's on a lot of their blankets and stuff. It was that, but like really like probably this big. Symbols are this big, just rows, hundreds of rows covering everything and moving. And then one guy had 4 eyes, who ended up being like a bad person. I suspected he was a bad person. And that person had 4 eyes. And the other person just looked really normal, because I figured they were just, I don't know, they're kind of like, they don't think a lot. They just kind of do. But the other person was super snaky. And it was super weird, dude. He had 4 eyes and like a bad vibe.
Do you think because you already perceived him that way, that was your mind projecting that onto him, or do you interpret that as like you were seeing like his true form or something?
At the time, I interpreted it as I was seeing more of the truth. Like, because I knew my intuitions weren't false, so it was more of a it was confirming. So yeah, it could be that I already thought that, but I don't think so, because whether I thought it or not, that was already fact. Like, I think maybe even if I thought that person was a good person, I still would have had that same experience. I was actually talking to someone today. They said that when they trip mushrooms, they have like an aura that surrounds them that they can visibly see, and it's yellow. So I think I think there's probably a lot that we all give off. That when someone gets, their consciousness elevates or whatever, when they're doing psychedelics, they could see. Like I think there's things you probably can't hide.
So you think it like was increasing your perception?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
There's-
it.
I think it was making
absolute-
more things
absolutely
visible.
things you can't hide. I think that's one of the main points of doing these things and taking these
Well, like
things,
in
is to
our
keep your-
day-to-day lives, though, you can mask
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah, I mean, you can train yourself to subconsciously not even know you're hiding yourself away. People do it all the time, and that's the beauty of some of these substances, man. They just tear all that shit down. They just,
Yeah.
and any of it
Yeah.
that's still hanging there is like useless, torn up curtains to you. You're like, why is this even here? This is useless to me,
yeah.
And then Tundra Law starts to make sense.
No contact wrestling is like all the fun of wrestling without any of the contact.
Yeah, I saw some of it on Instagram. It sure looks hilarious.
Yeah. I guess like it's this smack talk, but like wrestler style, but they never like touch each other.
Right. It's not. I don't know that they ever have any actual like even get in the same. I mean, they could be like across the world from each other, I guess. It's just all like video, hype talking and smack talking from what I've seen. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's what is the Isolation Wrestling Federation, Isolation Federation of Wrestling, something like that. Something hilarious.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, people will find ways to entertain themselves. I guess that's if we do go all jobless, I guess there's that hope, is that we'll just find ways to innovate and new ways to like bang sticks together, I guess.
Maybe they'll focus on education.
Nah. Nah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Do you think
I'll say it again.
Educate those kids.
do you guys think there's any like silver lining to Jeff Bezos going up in space for 5 minutes? Like
Who?
like Bezos?
There's plenty of silver linings.
Like
Why is he doing that?
he already did it. I think just to flex, probably.
Because he can.
He had a great time.
But
Silver lining.
I guess that there is technology going into space travel. So like there is
They want to make it commercial. They want to sell it to you.
He wants to be Elon.
that's a good point. It's like, look what I went and did this thing. Wouldn't it be cool if you could do that?
Space is big business.
You can prove the Earth is round, flat, whatever.
Mhm.
How much you think it's going to cost for the first ticket?
That actually is really good advertising. Prove that the Earth is round. It's like
the Earth is.
Did he prove it? Did he take a video?
The rocket ship was really just like this thing shaking you around and then showed you some hologram that's not
Yeah.
real.
It's a Disney ride.
It's all fake. It's just like a big government scheme. They're just like multi-billion-dollar scheme. That's why they can afford it.
I did something similar at SeaWorld.
But then how do they simulate the anti-gravity?
Well, you're actually in a ship
They're simulating everything out.
and
Right. Or
and like a plane, and then it just drops so fast for a little while. Yeah.
But what about when it has to land?
Well, it doesn't have to land.
It
Why
can't
would it have
drop.
to land?
just stay up there.
All it has to do is go to the edge of the boundary where the Earth doesn't exist anymore, and it
Oh,
just
right.
keeps falling.
That's
And then
true.
it like flips and goes under around and
Yeah.
comes back because gravity only works in the one flat direction
Right.
on the, you know.
Oh, they just gotta go off the edge of Earth.
Right.
Oh,
Right off the
There's so much- There's so much woke propaganda in my face that I actually like forget the Earth is flat sometimes. You know,
Are you a globalist?
I actually like sometimes I slip up and I like conceptualize the Earth is round, and then I'm like, what am I, a sheeple?
Bro, if Earth ended up being flat, I would go do some GTA shit.
Well, I got news for you, Carter.
GTA shit, baby.
Cause fuck it, bro. If the Earth is flat, I've been wrong about everything.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point.
Apparently, we've all been wrong about everything. We need to just listen to that.
But like I grew up on two different sides of Earth. Like
I think that's what's so appealing about to these crazy flat Earth people. Oh, I mean the accurate scientists. I think what's so appealing to them is that it's like an interesting idea, because like, wouldn't it be cool? Like it'd be so big, you know, like it's like
a big giant LARP.
Yeah,
it would
wonder how
like
many
that would
big
ruin
LARP.
it would ruin all of our studies, everything everyone's ever learned, all of our quantum mechanics,
We
all of
would
our
find
physics.
How all the governments have gotten together with all the scientists and taught everybody exactly what they're supposed to know, and that it's one giant secret that only like 12 people on the planet actually know the truth of for some weird reason. And they
Yeah, and like
managed to
most
keep
of
it a
it's
secret
true,
for
like
generations.
physics work.
And we
It's such
shouldn't
a
worry
big
about how they make
lie.
it work.
It's such a
So
yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
such
how
a
they
good
still
lie
have-
that our buildings are built off of these fake physics and
Yeah.
based off of all this fake shit so that our skyscrapers don't fall down because of the wind, and you know how Earth is round fakely. The wind
Open
is,
your eyes,
is
people.
fakely made.
Sheep.
Open your flat eyes, people.
Yeah.
Take the flat pill.
Yeah. Why
The
are our
flat
eyeballs not
pill.
flat? Why don't we
Safe.
have saucers for eyeballs? We got, you know.
Yeah.
The flat Earth is such a stupid theory, dude. There's no possible way. Like that's not how gravity works. It wouldn't even if you had a flat disc that size, if you just made it, it would instantly crush and pull itself into a fucking ball.
See, Carter, that's the problem. You still believe in gravity, idiot.
Hey, hold the hammer over your head and let go. Tell me what force, what magical fucking force.
It's the will of the turtles, obviously, that the planet sits upon. That's what makes the hammer fall.
Everything
Maybe
that's attracted to the
a
turtle.
giant fan. in
It's not
space.
gravity. It's everything that's attracted to the turtle goes to the turtle that it wants, and anything that it doesn't really want, it floats away. But it really likes most everything, so most everything falls to it. Some things it don't like as much, so they don't fall as quickly, or we call fall. They're not as attracted as quickly to the turtle's back. You know.
Right.
Fortunately, we all are born of a slightly good bit of something that the turtle likes, so we in general hang out.
So the gravitational force is the turtle.
You're still tossing around words like gravity. You gotta get out of that thinking.
And
That's
even
society.
Well, you stupid motherfucker. If you would think about what gravity is, it's an invisible force from Earth or the
No, you
turtle.
can see it. The turtles, they reach up with their arms. It's not invisible.
So it's the turtle's gravity. It would still be gravity. Even your theory is
No.
Turtle-
Now,
turtle
now,
theory
now we're
has
getting into
holes.
Shakespeare here. You
projection.
know, a rose by any other name would not be a rose.
Yeah.
Now, what I
Potato,
want to know,
potato.
what I want to know is how we ended up here when last thing I saw, you were asking what everybody's favorite monster was.
Oh yeah. Did we ever
What's
get
on
it?
your list?
We never got an answer on that, did we? Neif, what's your favorite monster?
Me.
Nice.
Fair
Um,
enough.
You know, no, I mean hello, in general, I always like the werewolf idea, the lycanthrope idea. I always thought that was cool, you know, like part
You're not
man,
going
part-
furry on me, are you?
well, I mean that's a whole you said favorite monster, not fit or never
I
mind.
mean,
Anyway, that's a different question.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. We're not, you know. Anyway, no. I mean, as far as like movie wise, I mean, not even so much movies because those are kind of cheesy, but kind of, you know, when I was coming up, my favorite monster, like being vampires or whatever it is, zombies and shit. I always like, you know, lycanthropy, you know, like werewolves and shit. I always thought that was cool. But when you get into like very specific, the more I study Lovecraft, the more I specifically like a lot of the deities, the monster deities that he, you know, brought up just because they're just really a really cool retake. But that's more recent, you know. I tend to not have favorites or I have changing, you know, like preferences, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick.
Yeah, politically I like Cthulhu though.
The Cthulhu party,
Yeah, I'm all about, I think we should elect him.
World Devourer, the Great
Yeah.
Sleep.
Well, he's a great sleeper. He's not a devourer, he's your
for
sleeper.
president of the world.
David, do you have a favorite monster?
Yeah, I'll have to come back to me on that one.
Come back to you.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay, Skip and David. Let's go to Trapper.
I thought I already gave my answer.
You were the
Fuck.
first to be
Oh,
asked.
my favorite monster. I said, I think you asked. I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb. I think he was asking me what, because I was talking about the Native American ones.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you did answer my question. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No,
you
my
were saying
favorite
that-
would probably be Bigfoot though. That I'm not scared of.
Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
Cryptid. Yeah. Bigfoot. Scufflemus is homies with Bigfoot.
Oh, really?
No, wait,
yeah.
I don't-
Maybe
I
we
don't
should
think they
start.
hang out, actually.
Maybe we should start an
I think they're
RRH cryptozoology team. We go handle.
I would-
people's-
You would make my childhood dream come true.
We can go handle people's lycanthropy issues with were squirrels and shit. You know,
Oh yeah.
they be getting vicious, man.
Have you
Do
guys
it.
ever heard of not deer?
Not deer.
Not deer.
You know
No.
what? It seems like I
Look them up.
haven't, but I have.
Nothing that's not a deer.
You know,
Pull
You
that
should
shit
look
up.
them up.
Pull
I
that
think
shit
in a
up.
previous life I had heard of them.
Pull that shit up. Pull that shit up.
We can't pull it up.
I'm not in the position at this moment because I'm back.
Oh,
I can give you a soundtrack. I could kind of. I mean, you give me a second. I'll pull some shit. Up. God damn it. Oh, here we go. Hold on.
I tried to give Trapper the permission to share screen, but it wouldn't let me.
It's,
I don't know how to-
I will look it up and say something about it. Let's see. You said not deer,
Mm-hmm. Not deer.
You got your phone
not deer story.
Trapper
not
made it
deer
up. It's not
cryptid,
real.
on?
Not deer myth, not deer legend, not deer Reddit.
No, it's
Good.
from Trapper's imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Deer no. Wait, what? No, that's
Not
what I'm
deer.
looking at.
Look up not deer.
Not deer cryptids on Reddit.
No, just not deer. You can just go to Google and type in not
That's
space
what
deer.
I did, and now I'm looking
Mhm.
down. Submit not deer magazine. Pennsylvania's not deer spreading COVID or deer not spreading. Jesus Christ, not deer.
What is this? Oh, oh,
Oh, you know why? I need to go to the duck.
oh.
They're deer that have really long legs, and they're like they have the body of a moose, and like the features of a deer. They look like a deer.
Oh,
But you know what? I'm using a crappy
But they can
computer that's
also
not
be
got good internet
carnivorous.
on it.
Like
interesting.
they kill. Not that they just come and eat you. Like
You
their
know,
intent
maybe
is to
that's
kill.
what I heard about when I was hearing about them saying scientists discovered deer actually eating flesh. Like they were eating, you know, instead of being herbivores, they were being omnivorous. They were actually eating something dead. But maybe that's what it was, is that it was a not deer.
Hmm.
Let's ask the Google God.
Google is our new god.
Carter, do you have a favorite?
Favorite monster?
Yeah.
Um,
The Appalachian.
no.
The Appalachian knot deer is a folk cryptid with sightings common in the foothills of Virginia. But they
Crazy
aren't
mountain people.
bound to a specific location. Most people describe the knot deer's appearance to be uncomfortable because it so closely resembles a deer, but well, not.
Okay. It's a not deer. Got it.
Literally a not deer.
I watched I was catching up on cryptids and like SCP stuff, getting hip with the kids, and I saw like cartoon cat is like a popular one right now, and like long horse. You guys heard of those? Cartoon cat is like, it's a cartoon cat, but it's like it exists in reality and it's like 2D. It's a weird like cryptid thing, internet thing, like Slender Man was, but
Creepypasta type thing.
yeah, and cartoon cat's like it's just a cartoon cat, but it eats people.
Mhm.
Dude, do you remember the cabin and Slender Man? And then knocking
Yeah,
on the window?
bro, I remember hanging out at the cabin
Ah,
with Slender Man, dude. How could I forget, bro? Slendy,
And
shit,
the
dude. You're
the
taking me
knocking
back.
on the window. Do you remember the knocking on the window when we were playing it?
What's oh we were playing Slender? Is that what it was?
Yeah, at the cabin. And then there was like knocking on the window and shit.
Slender
Was there really?
Yeah,
There was
no, dude, you turned the game off because some weird shit kept happening outside.
really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was getting super weird because we kept talking about it. And then that night when we were all driving, there was the symbol in the parking lot, like painted on the floor of the parking lot
Huh.
at the Empty Bikers Club.
There was a lot of weird
Bikers
shit that went
Club.
on in a lot of weird shit
Just
going
the
on in-
descriptions, the floor of the parking lot at the Empty Bikers Club is already a little wacky enough for me in that story.
Yeah, there's a
The-
Slender Man symbol on the parking lot grounds.
the-
Like right when we were all talking about it.
There was a different night at that cabin. I don't really sleepwalk often, like ever actually. I can't remember another time that I did. But there was we had got my dad had gotten a cabin because we were working a job, and it was like me and my dad and like 3 other guys working this job site. We were staying in this cabin, and I was sharing a room with this one guy, my friend Keith, and he was like in like the bed that they had in the cabin, and then I had like an air mattress in the corner. Well, I woke up in the middle of the night, not on my mattress, but on the floor, like, but what's weird is like I didn't roll off of the air mattress. I had my pillow underneath my head, but I was laying face down on the floor. And I got up, and my air mattress was like halfway down the stairs. And so I was like, that's what the fuck. So I just got up, looked around, and the other dude was asleep. So I grabbed the mattress, put it back down, and went back to bed. And the next morning, he was like, dude, what were you doing? Like, what happened? And he said, I got up in the middle of the night and started like kicking the air mattress, like really hard, like trying to shove it down the staircase. But like clearly I wasn't being very efficient at it, because if I had like turned it anyway, I would have been able to do it. But it's like I was trying to kick it through like a narrow hallway, just repeatedly, just banging it. And then he said I exasperatedly just went and like grabbed my pillow and just laid down on the floor and did that and just stayed there for hours. So
You might have been trying to go sleep somewhere else and just take your bed with you.
I guess so. But
I wonder if he was snoring or something. And you were like in the wake.
I have no idea, man. That's the only time I ever remember sleepwalking, and I don't remember it. So I mean, I guess there's potential that I have sleptwalk other times, and there was just like no one to catch it. But yeah, that cabin was it gave me weird vibes.
Yeah, dude.
Do you remember where that was? That was in like the middle of nowhere too. That was
I
can't remember.
bet you I could find it, but I have no. All I have to do, we'd have to find that cave.
It was still in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, it is in Tennessee.
But it was like 3 or 4 hours from where we were, I think.
What?
Anyway, wasn't it? It was like a really remote area, like 3 or 4 hours from where we lived at the time in Fayetteville.
Oh yeah. It was very remote, and the cabin was by itself, far away from anything, on the side of a mountain.
The best part of that is we were working on a really old hospital, so like we were installing Cat 5 cable in this hospital that was like really, really old. And so we were having to punch through like inches of concrete to put a conduit in. Whereas like there were new additions also, so like we didn't have to do that the whole time, but like a tiny job ended up taking like days to do.
Yeah, dude.
Weird cabin. Anyway, I think we've just about hit our time limit here. I appreciate you guys for sticking around and just bullshitting with me. This has been fun.
Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like showing off my mansion.
I actually,
I like your new place.
yeah,
Thanks.
Hook me up with your skimming account, please.
yo, that drip, dude, that drip.
Mike,
I mean,
bro.
water skimming.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, let me hey, if
Skimboarding.
my
You know what?
skimboarding business.
Yeah, just tossing rocks, like skipping stones.
This is what got me rich, guys. Skimboarding.
There you go.
That's what affords all this. There's actually one more thing I do want to talk about before we go. I just realized we haven't talked about it on the episode yet. Trapper, you've got an apprenticeship. Do you want to plug your shop where you're working at?
Yes, it is. If you live anywhere in the North Alabama area, it is Brass and Iron Tattoos, established 2017. We're near Campus 805. If you know where that is, where Straight to L and all of that shit is. We're right over there on 9th Avenue. So
That's what's up, man.
I live super close to there.
You said
So
you're
what?
apprentice. Go ahead, Carter.
Said I live close to there.
oh fuck yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot you were down there. what was I gonna say? Oh, but you were telling me earlier your apprenticeship is up in a couple of months, and
Yes.
so I'm gonna come down there and get some work eventually.
Fuck yeah. I can't wait. I
It
can't
would be
wait,
an
man.
honor. It would be an honor, sir.
Oh yeah. It'll be an honor to tattoo all my homies.
Oh,
Fuck
yeah.
I want you to tattoo my picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't tell no matter what they come and tell you. Like
Just
give me this
end
or
up with
whatever,
their
be
picture.
yeah, just somehow put my face or a picture of me, on there.
Oh, I'll hide it in there. I'll just do like a giant moth
yeah.
or a flower and just have your head
There you go.
right there in the middle of it, hidden.
Did you guys ever hear about that lawsuit in like the early 2000s where a tattoo artist like was tattooing this big mural on his ex, and he ended up just like making like a giant pile of crap as a tattoo, like as a joke.
Really?
Yeah, but she ended up suing him for like a lot of money. I can't remember how much.
Oh,
Not really. A joke.
There's a whole TV show. There's a whole TV show dedicated to that. Have you not seen it?
On
Where
Snapchat.
it's on TV, but there's like multiple seasons. It's some of the people from Ink Master, but basically they bring in two friends that have previous beef, or they bring in like exes and stuff. And they don't know what they're getting. They're blindfolded, and they tell them my idea, and then they fucking tattoo it on them, and then they take off the glasses and see what they get. And there's been some terrible, like one guy got a dead fetus on a girl because she had an abortion, and he wasn't okay with it. And I was like, all right, yeah.
I didn't see that one, but I do know the show you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
I saw a couple one time where she like they were both, I think he was like just like angry, but she was like in tears. It was like really bad.
It's a terrible show. It's a terrible
absolutely.
I gotta say though,
I gotta watch it as soon as I can.
I'm such a sucker for cringe TV though.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love that shit. It's so funny. It's the best comedy. It's trash TV. Well, on that note, Alice, have a good night, and we'll see you next week. See ya.
Take it easy, Alice.
Bye-bye.